father-in-law Kaido's monster cells create the strongest beasts. 101. Luo Xing's ability to hope is transparent fruit. Moria is getting weaker and weaker. Brook's negative ghost effect is also slowly fading. He watched Zoro chase Perona's back and muttered, "Every strong one is like a monster, especially the other man, who even gave me a more terrifying feeling than Moria." 5. Brook was horrified, even though he was lurking here to recapture the shadow. But today's terrifying three-masted ship is obviously not an ordinary person, so he still slips away first, and his life is more important. Just as he was about to run away, there was a gloomy laughter behind him. "Where do you want to escape?" Brook's hair stood on end, and he turned his head stiffly. Then I saw that there was no one in the air, but a fierce man with the appearance of a lion slowly emerged. Absalom, the transparent fruit person, like the ghost girl Perona. "The guard under Moria," Brook said in horror. Absalom grinned. "Your skeleton knows us quite well. Say, what's your relationship with the two strange men?" 153. Absalom is naturally referring to Luo Xing and Zoro. He just used the transparent fruit ability to hide to the side, and saw what happened just now. And the reason why he didn't show up was because he, like Brook, felt some kind of terrifying aura in Luo crossing. "Did not dare to show up." Brook shook his head hurriedly. "I don't know, it's the first time I've seen them." Humphrey. Absalom didn't believe it at all, and sneered, "Go to see Lord Moria with me, and see if you dare not tell the truth." Amid Brook's terrified cries, Absalom led him to an underground prison. This underground prison is extremely large and has a depth of several hundred meters. Because here is the most ferocious giant in history, the Devil Oz. Of course, the Devil Oz froze to death decades ago, and it is Oz's body that is locked here. After the transformation of Moria's evil Dr. Hogbuck, Oz's body has been restored. Just waiting for the right shadow to be stuffed in, you can become the most ferocious and powerful zombie in the world. Moria has been waiting for the day to get revenge on Kaido of the beasts with Oz the demon. While thinking of a bright future, he saw Absalom come in with a skeleton. Moria asked, "What's the matter?" "Did another ship come in from outside?" In this terrifying triangle, pirate ships unintentionally intrude every year. And after they broke in, they never got out, because their shadows were cut off by Moria and stuffed into the zombie's body. This is where the Moria Zombie Legion comes in. Absalom said, "Two people did break in. Why didn't you arrest me for Lao Tzu?" The people who usually break in are led by several Kados such as Absalom and Perona, who are directly caught in front of Moria. Absalom said solemnly, "The people who came this time felt a bit unusual. Perona's negative ghosts couldn't touch one of them, and even the mini ghost bombs didn't work." Moria moved her fat body, stood up, and smiled with sharp teeth. He, finally a strong man came over. "Now there is a shadow that suits Oz." Moria asked, "Where are those two guys?" "They went to find Perona's body." "Oh, I'm not too daring to hurt my subordinates." Moria's face was full of murderous expressions. "Hogbark, you go and gather the zombie army. I want to completely take away the shadows of those two guys." The evil Dr. Hogbuck leads the way. Moria took Absalom to Perona's residence. The frightened Brook was also held by them. The same moment, Luo Xing has come to the body of Perona. This is a secret room, very secluded. But in front of Luo Xing's observation haki, it doesn't make any sense to hide. He went to the bed. Perona's body was leaning on a round bed with her head lowered. Luo Xing pulled up the double ponytail of Perona's body. There was an extremely high decibel scream from behind. You actually touched Miss Ben's hair." 35. Let go of your dirty hands, you bastard." Luo Xing calmly put down his hand and said lightly, "I just try the quality of the flowers to see if they are worth collecting." 35. "What, do you take Miss Ben as a flower, you brazen bastard?" 5. Perona was furious. She had never seen such a nasty guy. She wanted the negative ghost to make the other party kneel down and confess to her. But the negative ghosts can't touch each other at all, and the mini ghost bombs can't work either. Damn, only using the extra large ghost kamikaze bomb will definitely blow this guy to smithereens. Perona decided to play with his strongest hand. Luo Xing grabbed Perona's body and smiled slightly. "You want to blow me up? Then come on." Perona's small mouth is wide open. "Oh, my body is in his hands. Why didn't I remember it?" 35. At this time, Zoro finally arrived. Picking up the knife, he slashed towards Perona. "You bastard ghost girl. You make me so embarrassed." 55. Zoro felt ashamed at the thought of the words he had just said while kneeling on the ground. What a shame. He's never been so shameful when he's so big. However, the knife did not hit Perona, it passed through Perona's body. Luo Xing's voice said, "This is just her soul body, ignoring any physical attack. The body is in my hands." Perona shouted angrily, "Give me back Miss Ben's body." "That won't work." Luo Xing smiled and shook his head. "Your negative ghost is too annoying. Even I dare not touch it. After finishing Moria, I will return the body to you." 39. Perona's negative spectre, to some extent, becomes stronger when it is strong. No matter any strong person, as long as he has negative emotions in his heart, he will not be immune to the negative ghost. On the contrary, if the weak have enough negative emotions, they will not be affected by the negative ghost. A typical example is the god Usopp. Of course, a strong enough will and conqueror's spirit should also be able to resist the negative ghost. But Luo Xing didn't want to try. He didn't want to kneel on the ground like Zoro just now. That would damage his wise and martial image. Perona screamed angrily and said angrily, Lord Moria will turn you all into zombies. Not long after Perona's words, Moria arrived with her army of zombies. As expected. These two 5.4 ignorant guys, if you are sensible, give your shadows to Lao Tzu. Moria had a big belly, but her neck and legs were very thin, and she looked extremely uncoordinated. With this appearance, a discerning person can see that his physical skills are definitely not very good. But Moria has no awareness that her own strength has been greatly reduced, and her words are still extremely arrogant. Luo Xing glanced over. The first thing he saw was Absumero, because this guy had the ability that every man craved. Luo Xing has never eaten devil fruit, nor does he plan to. But if he had to eat one, his first choice would be the transparent fruit. He looked away from Absumero and looked at the bloated Moria. Luo Xing said lightly, Gecko Moria, let me tell you this on behalf of my father-in-law Kaido's. You are getting weaker and weaker. 102. Zorovs Ryoma, Luo Xing second Moria, Perona crying. Moria thinks that the two unknown little people in front of her will be scared to the ground when they see him in the 7 warlords of the sea. What's more, behind him stood a group of powerful zombie army. Therefore, Moria's tone of voice was extremely mad, and she let the other side offer her shadow. However, the answer from the other side made him completely stunned and amazed. What father-in-law Kaido's? What is he? Moria getting weaker? Could it be that the man in front of him is the guy from the legend? Moria's expression changed drastically, staring at Luo Xing, growling, You, who are you? Not only Moria, including his subordinates Absalom, Perona and others, also had a ghostly expression. Especially Perona, with a scream, hurried away from Luo crossing. In his big eyes, full of incredible color, he thought, this guy is the rumored mysterious concubine of beasts, Luo Xing, known as the 5th Emperor of the Sea. Scared the baby to death. No wonder the speed is so fast, and I'm not afraid of my ghost bomb. All the members of the Moria pirates, including Brook who was kidnapped by them, all focused on Luo Xing at this moment. Luo Xing held Perona's body in his hand, and said indifferently, What, are you surprised to see me? Moria heard the words and said fiercely, Sure enough, you are the son-in-law of that Kaido, so-called 5 emperors. You dare to come to Lao Tzu's territory. You really don't know whether to live or die. Kaido's debt to Lao Tzu is up to you to repay part of it first. After confirming Luo Xing's identity, Moria's anger could no longer be suppressed. All of his former subordinates were killed by Kaido. His hatred for Kaido has already reached the level of hatred. Moria raised her hands. Her fingernails were glowing green, her sharp teeth were exposed, and she said, Zombie army, kill this Kaido's son-in-law. Roar. Their zombies let out a terrifying roar and charged towards Luo Xing with claws and claws. Suddenly, a blue sword light streaked across the path of the zombies. The zombie couldn't dodge in time, and its head was directly cut off by Jianmang. Zoro held the word head out in one hand and the second-generation ghost in the other, looked at the hundreds of zombies in front of him, and grinned. You guys, have you forgotten that there is another beast here? 35. Their zombies looked at Zoro with some cringe, even though they were dead. But the monster-like aura emanating from Zoro still made them subconsciously scared. Moria was furious when he saw this. How could his invincible zombie army be frightened by a mere swordsman? Moria shouted the command, quickly kill this swordsman for Lao Tzu. These zombies are creations of Moria's shadow fruit, unable to defy Moria's orders. Roaring forward again. Zoro was not afraid, but fought fiercely. Even if there are more ants, their strength cannot be compared with that of beasts. Zoro charged forward with his sword. 2 swords. Rashomon. The powerful sword energy swept across all directions, and few people even saw how Zoro drew his sword. All I know is that where Zoro has passed, all the zombies are jumping around, screaming and screaming. Moria was furious and was about to take action herself when Absalom reminded him, this green algae head is a swordsman, the swordsman should let the swordsman deal with it. It is better to let Ryoma take action. Ryoma is currently the strongest in the Moria zombie army, except for the Maginot. His usual duty is to protect the evil Dr. Hogback. Hogback said, Ryoma, kill that green algae head. Ryoma, dressed as a samurai, followed suit. He was stuffed with Brook's shadow, but because Ryoma's strength was too tyrannical before his death, Ryoma's power far surpassed Brook's shadow. Brook himself wanted to take back the shadow and challenge Ryoma several times, but he was killed every time. That green algae head is dangerous. Brook's eyeless pupils stared at the battlefield. Zoro, who was happily slashing people, sensed a strong sword coming towards him. Zoro's muscles trembled with excitement. This is the breath of a great swordsman. It must be the dragon-killing warrior Longma that Lord Luo Xing said. He suddenly looked at the dragon horse. Ryoma also looked at him. Longma said, Boy, the knife in your left hand is the second-generation ghost. Where did you get it? 35. Zoro held up the second-generation Gitu and said, It was given to me by an old man named Tengu Shinfitu. Add Tengu Mountain Flying Through. Ryoma has no impression of this name, after all. He is a character from Wano Kuni hundreds of years ago. Second generation Gitch was created by the old man's friend Goucher. Since you can get this knife, it means that you have been to Wano Kuni. Can you tell me how Wano Kuni is now? Zoro smiled and said, if you beat me, no matter what you want to ask, I will tell you. And if you lose, your black sword will be mine. This is a duel between swordsmen. 5. Ryoma was startled, and then he laughed. Good boy, you deserve to be recognized by second generation Gittu. Come on, let this old man see the strength of swordsmen in this era. The two began to confront each other. The terrifying sword energy ripped apart the ceiling of the hall. Boom! A huge pillar fell. Brook was stunned. Only then did he know that Zoro and Ryoma's swordsmanship are far superior to him. With the dragon horse to contain Zoro, Moria sent her zombie army to attack Luo Crossing. Kill him. I'm going to make Kaido try the pain of losing his subordinates too. Moria hated Kaido so much because of the death of her subordinates. He is somewhat similar to Kaido when it comes to attaching importance to his subordinates. Hoo-hoo. Terrifying zombies surrounded Luo Crossing. Moria's subordinate, Absalom, used the ability of transparency, apparently looking for an opportunity to sneak up on Luo Crossing. Perona floated in the air in the distance and shouted at the zombie army, "You mummies, don't break Miss Ben's body." Their zombies didn't answer her. Luo Xing did. Kaido, don't worry, I will take good care of your body. 99. Perona pouted, who wants you to take care of me? Give me back your body, you bastard. Luo Xing smiled lightly, wrapped his left hand around Perona's body's slender waist, and hugged him by the side. Then he walked towards Moria step by step, as if the hundreds of zombies standing in front of him didn't exist. Being ignored like this, even the zombies who didn't have much emotion were angry and roared towards Luo Crossing. However, when they approached Luo Xing within 10 steps, they suddenly felt a huge mountain-like force pressing down on them. Thump. These zombies couldn't bear the force and fell to their knees one by one. Absalom, who was invisible, looked dumbfounded. Add this. What's going on here? But he didn't have time to think about it, because the place he was hiding was within 10 steps of Luo Crossing. Absalom seemed to see a giant beast from ancient times rushing towards him, and was slapped on the back of the head by the giant beast. Absalom 153 was dizzy and fell to the ground. This eerie sight completely stunned Perona. Moria was also shocked. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she gritted her teeth. How the hell do you have such conquerors? 99. Yes, both a zombie and Absalom were stunned by Luo Xing's conquerors. Luo Xing was too lazy to answer Moria. Moria felt the humiliation of being despised and was furious. Go to hell, Shadowhorn. Moria actually condensed her own shadow into an extremely hard black spear and stabbed Luo Crossing. Facing Moria's angry blow, Luo Xing stretched out his empty right hand and accurately grabbed the Shadowhorn spear. Armament haki covers the palm. Click. Luo Xing directly crushed the shadow gun. Moria didn't expect such an outcome, and stood there dumbfounded. At this time, Perona, who was just frightened, reacted instead and shouted, "Don't hurt Moria's armor." Perona was adopted at a very young age by Moria, who was her father. In a hurry, Perona released a dozen ghosts at once, and charged towards Luo Xing aggressively. Luo Xing caught a glimpse from the corner of his eye, and the corner of his mouth twitched. With his right hand, he pulled up the twin ponytails of Perona's body, which he had clamped under his left arm, and pulled it gently. "Ugh, don't pull my hair," Perona yelled, daring to release the negative ghost again. But seeing Luo Xing still walking towards Lord Moria, Perona, who has always been lawless, eccentric, and willful, started crying anxiously. "Wow wow wow wow, you are all bad people, big bad people. Don't hurt Moria's armor. Don't hurt my body either." 103. Death Game. Guess if there are any bullets in my gun? Subscribe. Add. Luo Xing is a person who loves beauty, but he doesn't always love fragrance and jade. For example, Xiao Zi who ate slippery fruit. The one who cried last time was a pear flower with rain, but Luo Xing still didn't care too much. Until I was satisfied, I hugged Xiao Zi and coaxed a few words. The current situation is similar to that. Luo Xing really moved his mind to collect Perona's unruly ghost flower, but it doesn't mean that if the other party cried a few words, he would give up his original plan. Luo Xing didn't take care of Perona, who was crying. Go straight to Moria. His eyes were calm, with the strong looking down on the weak. Moria was awakened by Perona's cries. He was startled. Just now, Yingji gun was one of his few big moves, but it was crushed by Luo Xing with one hand. How could the opponent be so strong? Moria's face was uncertain and fearful, but more than annoyed. Back then, he was directly competing with Kaido of the Beasts. Even if the defeat is terrible, it is still a generation of heroes. But today, was he actually being looked down upon by Kaido's son-in-law, a little junior? Moria couldn't bear the humiliation, her cheeks twitching. Seeing Luo Xing approaching him, Moria angrily punched and roared, "Who are you, my father? When Lao Tzu crossed the sea, you were not born yet." However, his angry punch was sent flying by Luo Xing with a random slap. Moria rolled over 10 meters away in embarrassment, the corners of her mouth stained with blood, and her eyes were full of astonishment and disbelief. Why is this young man so strong, and his dignified Gecko Moria can't fight back? Impossible. Even if he faced Kaido back then, Moria could have played dozens of rounds. Moriya-sama. Seeing that Moria was injured, Perona hurried over, staring at Luo Xing with red eyes. Don't hurt Moriya-sama anymore. Luo Xing ignored Perona, glanced at Moria on the ground, and said slowly, "You wonder why I'm so strong?" Moria gritted her teeth. Although he didn't nod his head to admit it, it was also a tacit consent. He was indeed extremely suspicious of this. Luo Xing's voice said, "It's not that I'm too strong, it's that you're too weak, Gecko Moria." As soon as these words came out, Moria's body suddenly trembled, and her face became extremely ugly. Luo Xing looked down at Moria with pity and continued, "Although you lost to my father-in-law Kaido more than 10 years ago, at that time you can still be called a hero of a generation, a strong man. But now you are bloated and arrogant, hiding in this terrifying three-masted ship for 10 years and have never done anything with anyone. Moria, you're so weak now that you don't even deserve the title of Shichibukai." The so-called murderous heart. Moria's eyes reddened and her body trembled when Luo Xing said it. He gritted his teeth, clenched his fists tightly, and breathed heavily. "You bastard." "However, although you are weak now, you are not useless," Luo Xing said. "Your zombie army is of great use to me. So Moria, I can give you a chance to surrender to my beasts pirates." Moria suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. Although she was embarrassed, her eyes were still full of rebelliousness, and she said sharply, "Let Lao Tzu submit to the beasts and Kaido?" "It's a big joke." 35. "Even if I die, I will never do such a thing of surrendering to the enemy. I'm Gecko Moria." I have to say that even though Moria's strength is not as strong as it used to be, there is still a hint of heroic temperament. It's not that easy to make him bow his head. Luo Xing was not surprised by Moria's answer. He remembered that in the original book, Blackbeard, who became the 4 emperors, also solicited Moria, but he didn't know if he succeeded. But from the current situation, Luo Xing should have failed. Your answer is regrettable, and you can only be asked to die. 95. Luo Xing took out a small pistol and aimed it at Moria. "Don't want." Perona screamed loudly and stood in front of Luo Crossing. This usually unruly and willful-ghost little pepper, now his big eyes are full of tears, and his delicate face is full of pleading. 5 emperors, Lord Luo Xing, don't kill Lord Moria, okay? No matter what you ask, I will promise you. Moria is not a biological father to Perona, but he is similar. In the original, knowing that Moria was still alive, Perona immediately left Hawkeye's territory, and went all the way to find Moria. In short, even though Moria is wrong, she still has nothing to say to her subordinates, and she can win the loyal allegiance of people willingly. Moria felt even more humiliated by Perona's plea. When did Moria fall to the point of asking his subordinates to beg for his mercy? "Get out of the way, Perona." Moria growled, "Even if I die, I will not beg anyone for mercy." 35. Lord Moria. Perona looked at Moria tearfully. At this time, Absalom, who was stunned by Luo Xing conquerors just now, also woke up. Absalom fell to his knees at Luo Xing's feet and kowtowed heavily. "Lord 5 emperors, please kill me, don't hurt Lord Moria." This scene made Luo Xing want to draft the cap team after defeating Moria, but was approached by Bartholomew Xung. The bear pretends to kill Luffy, and Zoro and Sanji both rushed to die for Luffy. Zoro even said a classic quote from a real man, and nothing happened. Moria saw Perona plead for him, and Absalom knelt down for him. This ruthless man who was ruthless towards his enemies couldn't help crying. "The two of you ... why don't you let Lao Tzu die in peace?" Luo Xing's faint voice sounded. "It's a really moving scene, but it doesn't help the reality." Luo Xing passed through Perona's soul body, walked to Moria, and aimed the pistol between Moria's eyebrows. Perona and Absalom both shouted in horror, "Don't." Luo Xing didn't hear it, and said to Moria, "Guess there's no bullet in my gun?" "What?" Moria, who was struggling with pain, was stunned by this sentence. Luo Xing said to himself, "It's a 3-shot gun with only 1 bullet in it, and I'll fire it twice. If you are unfortunate enough to be shot and die, your subordinates will die too. If you are lucky to live, your subordinates will still die. Then, let's begin this game of death." Moria was dumbfounded, and Moria's subordinates such as Perona, Absalom, Hogabok, etc. behind him were also dumb. Bang! Luo Xing pulled the trigger. The hearts of Perona, Absalom and others jumped. Moria also shuddered violently. Death may not be terrible, but this process of waiting for death is enough to make people desperate. Moreover, he had to face the situation that his close subordinates would die regardless of whether he died or not, which was even more unbearable. First shot empty. Luo Xing did not hesitate to continue to pull the second shot. Slow. Moria made a sound, and he got up from the ground, with a struggling expression on his face, and looked at Perona and other subordinates who were extremely worried about him. He closed his eyes, and after a fierce psychological struggle, Moria opened his eyes and said, "I can surrender to you, but only you, not the beast's pirates, nor Kaido." Moria will never yield to Kaido who kills his minions. Luo Xing dropped the pistol, looked at Moria with a smile, and said, "Welcome to the world-destroying team, Mr. Moria." 55 Yun 104. Conquer the zombie army and let the devil Oz eat dragon-level monster cells. Add. When Luo Xing captured Moria. The battle between Zoro and Ryoma has reached the white-hot stage. The speed of the two sides' moves was so fast that it was difficult to see clearly. During the turbulent sword wave, I don't know how many buildings were destroyed. 2 swordsmanship, 2 slashes, should climb the building. Zoro slashed from top to bottom, like a tiger descending a mountain, unstoppable. And Longma is also worthy of being a great swordsman of a generation. Immediately staggered past Zoro. Nose song sanding middle knocking slash. This is a swordsmanship belonging to Brook's shadow, but the power used by Ryoma far exceeds that of Brook. Puff tilde. A sword mark appeared on Zoro's back, and blood flowed out. A larger sword mark appeared on Yoma's shoulder, but he was a zombie, so he didn't bleed. I haven't met a swordsman like you in a long time. Ryoma slowly turned around, looked at Zoro, and said seriously, "On the road of swordsman, what is your ambition?" 99. Zoro answered without hesitation, "Of course the strongest. I will become the strongest swordsman in the world." Ryoma laughed. "In this case, it can be matched with this black knife." The dragon horse lifted the autumn water high. "Come on, this is the last move, the strongest swordsman ever." 59. Zoro grinned, but put away the words of He Dao, leaving only the second-generation ghost. Add. Zoro took a deep breath and gripped second-generation Aniki tightly. Second-generation's ghostly blade immediately filled with a layer of black mist. "Is this the demonic chi of the demon sword and ghost?" Yoma's pupils shrank. "No, this gloomy feeling might be closer to being called ghost chi." 99. Ryoma became more and more satisfied with Zoro, and was happy that Kushui met a qualified new owner. Ryoma looked at the autumn water in his hand affectionately. "Let's fight one last time, old man, before you belong to a new master." The dragon horse suddenly split the autumn water. A huge sword wave with a length of 7 or 8 meters shot out. Facing such a terrifying slash, Zoro did not retreat but advanced. Ghost chi, one blade flow, ghost slash. The ghost energy seemed to condense into an evil ghost, and it appeared on Zoro. The evil ghost was ferocious, tearing the huge sword wave to pieces, and the second-generation ghost Ru immediately slashed across the neck of the dragon horse. The dragon horse fell to the ground. Zoro put the knife into the sheath, came to Longma, and picked up the black knife. "Kushui." With his last breath left, Ryoma said, "The autumn water is entrusted to you." Although the old man, Bife, lost, "Can you tell me how Wanokyani is now?" After all, Ryoma is a warrior from Wanokyani. His real surname is Shimatsuki, and he actually belongs to the same family as Zoro's master Shimatsuki Koshiro. Zoro said, "I just arrived in Wanokyani, so I don't know much about it. But from my own observation, the people of Wanokyani are living very well, and the current General Yamato is also a good person with a good heart." Hearing this, Longma finally closed his eyes in relief. Zoro buried Yoma's body on the spot before returning to Perona's main hall. "It's good to be back." Luo Xing, who had just captured Moria, said to Zoro, "Let's go see that legendary devil." 99. Moria leads the way. Add. He now wears a collar around his neck, which is made of sea stone like those on Enel and Trafalgar Law, and can be stretched freely. Usually, it doesn't affect their actions and devil fruit abilities. But once Luo Xing retracted the collar, they would immediately lose all ability to resist. Although Moria agreed to submit to Luo Xing only under Luo Xing's coercion and temptation, Luo Xing still had to take a layer of insurance. When this layer of insurance is removed depends on Moria's performance. In fact, for a character like Moria, even if his strength is greatly reduced, his arrogance is still there. They don't lie, and they don't bother to lie. Now that you have chosen to surrender, you will not regret it easily. Absalom followed Moria's side. Princess Mononoke Perona floated far in the air behind her. Her eyes were still a little red, and she had just cried. She secretly looked at Luo Xing's back with her eyes, gritted her teeth and opened her mouth from time to time, making various funny expressions. Those who are familiar with her will know that this is the manifestation of Perona wanting to be angry but not afraid to be angry. Everyone came all the way to the huge underground prison. "Sir, this is where the demon Oz is imprisoned." Moria couldn't change her mentality for a while, and she felt uncomfortable calling Luo Xing an adult. Luo Xing didn't take it too seriously. He always had to give people time to get used to it. He took a step forward and looked at the huge body of the demon Ozzy. Oz was 67 meters tall, twice that of an ordinary giant, and taller than Quinjack's combined giant. The entire pirate world is bigger than Oz, and it is estimated that it is only related to the huge battleship San Juan Evil Wolf on the 6th floor of Impel Down. San Juan Evil Wolf has reached a terrifying height of 180 meters, comparable to a moving castle. Luo Xing asked Moria, "Is there a shadow in Oz?" Moria shook her head. "There is no shadow of a suitable strong man." The strength of a zombie, one depends on the strength of the corpse before it was alive, and the other depends on the strength of the shadow, and the two are indispensable. Add. Ozzy's body size alone was enough for his strength during his lifetime, but he lacked a strong shadow. This fully shows that Moria spent more than 10 years in this terrifying 3-masted ship. There are so many strong marine pirates, The ones suitable for Oz are easy to find. After Luo Xing wanted to find a suitable shadow for Oz, with Oz's powerful body, he might be able to withstand the dragon-level monster cells. In this way, Oz's strength at the worst can reach the level of the giant brother who appeared at the beginning of the One Punch world. Luo Xing is looking forward to Ozzy the Devil will surprise him. Next, Luo Xing spent a day on the terror bark, mainly to inspect the zombie army under Moria. The more I looked at it, the more I felt that Moria had lived on a dog in the past 10 years. There are not many strong zombies under her, and there are not many, only 4 or 5,000. Still want to take revenge on Kaido and become One Piece? Luo Xing was speechless for a while. But he did not ridicule Moria, who was already his subordinate after all. Luo Xing selects hundreds of the strongest zombies and feeds them tiger-level monster cells. In an instant, the overall strength of the zombie army doubled. Moria stared at the monster cell and swallowed. At the beginning, he also participated in the snatch of the monster cells that flowed from the aunt's hands, but was cut off by the red hair. Moria has hated red hair ever since. It stands to reason that Moria has become his subordinate. Luo Xing will definitely not be stingy to reward him with a tiger-level monster cell, but Luo Xing did not give him. Thinking about Luo Xing, Moria is Shichibukai after all, and once dared to compete with his father-in-law Kaido's. His strength can at least eat a ghost-level monster cell. But looking at Moria's bloated body, I'm afraid it's enough now. Luo Xing told Moria, cultivation hard and restore your former strength. I will give you more advanced monster cells. At least in this sea, there is still a piece of your position. 39. Moria has no right to refuse. He has to constantly adjust his mentality to get used to the feeling of being given orders. 105. Check Perona's body. The lovesickness of the Empress Hancock. Luo Xing built the horror bark into the third war base after Dressrosa and Punk Hazard. As for the Kokosa village where East Blue Army is located, only Alvida's insignificant subordinate is there, and it is not a real war base. The terror bark is located in the first half of the Grand Line, near the Saibadi archipelago. If you send troops from here, first hit the Saibadi land, use the Saibadi land as a springboard, then hit the Marine headquarters Marineford, and finally go straight to the Holy Land Marie Joyce above the Red Line. Luo Xing has a comprehensive consideration, not arbitrarily choosing a war base. Night. When Luo Xing plans to take a night off and return to Wonokuni tomorrow, a red shadow floated in quietly. Luo Xing sat upright, looking at the red shadow with a half-smile. The red shadow thought that his movements were very light and unknowing, and when he was showing a complacent laugh, his big eyes suddenly met Luo Xing's gaze. "Ah!" Red shadow screamed super loudly, then turned, and ran. Then, without escaping a few steps, she returned honestly. Looking at Luo Xing said, Lord Luo Xing, can you give me back Miss Ben's body?" Such a quirky red shadow, not Princess Mononoke Perona. What else could it be? The purpose of her sneaking in here is very simple, to retrieve her body. Perona was actually quite angry and depressed. "Lord Moria has agreed to surrender to you. I am a cute and innocent little girl who has become a subordinate of your subordinates. Why haven't I returned her body?" Perona has been thinking about this question since she was on her way to see Oz the Devil, and she doesn't know how many faces she made behind Luo Xing's back. By the evening, Luo Xing had no intention of returning her body. Perona finally couldn't take it anymore, and dared to steal it. Unexpectedly, Luo Xing was caught. Perona's expression was aggrieved, her red mouth pouted, her round eyes staring straight at Luo Xing. She wanted a reason. Cough cough. Luo Xing coughed, feeling as if he was a weirdo who bullied cute girls. But Luo Xing quickly regained his composure. He was saving Perona. Otherwise, according to the plot in the original book, Perona will sooner or later be beaten by the Bartholomew Bear. Luo Xing said, "Do you know who I am?" Perona's stunned Kaido. "You are the consort of the Beast's pirates, the Fifth Sea Emperor, and a scientist greater than Vegapunk." Perona spoke out about Luo Xing's generally recognized identity. Luo Xing shook his head and said, "What else?" "Also, what else? How did this lady know?" "Is it the first time everyone sees you?" Perona pouted angrily, rolled her eyes, remembered an answer, and said excitedly, "You are also a collector of interest and love to collect different kinds of flowers." This is what Luo Xing told Perona when they first met, and does not want Perona to remember. Luo Xing gave Perona an admiring look. "Ruse can be taught. But since you know I'm a collector, isn't it normal for me to collect your body?" Luo Xing coughed again and said seriously, "What you said just now is correct, but you left out an answer. In addition to the above identities, I am actually a doctor." "Doctor?" Perona's eyes flashed blankly. Luo Xing looked at Perona's body lying beside him and said, "As a doctor with high professional ethics, I checked your body just now and found that your physical condition does not match your age." 359. "You're too young to be able to see your toes when you look down. How can you do that?" At this point, Perona is probably the smallest woman in the sea. Good guy Luo Xing, of course, to help Perona. Luo Xing took out a hood and said, "This is something I invented a long time ago. It has the effect of feng. You have to wear it all the time. The next time I come to check on you, Your physical condition will definitely be greatly improved. Perona was completely stunned. By the time Luo Xing left the terror bark the next day, Perona had not recovered. Luo Xing glanced back at Perona's dull eyes, and the corners of his mouth curved in satisfaction. This action is a complete meritorious achievement. It not only subdued Moria and the zombie army under her command, but also provided a powerful force for the future war against the world government. At the same time, you retrieved the Wonokuni national treasure Black Sword Autumn Water, and Luo Xing has another ghost flower in his collection. Luo Xing suddenly thought of another noble flower, the pirate queen Boa Hancock. Since Dressrosa parted, Luo Xing has never met the empress again, which is somewhat regrettable. He has the intention to go to Daughter Island to help the girls there to check their health. But there is no good reason. His wife Yamato knew that he would definitely suspect him, and it would be difficult to clean up the overturned vinegar jar. Luo Xing had to hold back his thoughts temporarily. Luo Xing didn't know that when he thought of the empress was also thinking of him. To be precise, after returning to her daughter from Dressrosa that day, Luo Xing's figure flashed through the empress' mind from time to time, and she couldn't erase it. The queen was very troubled by this. To this end, she even condescended to consult her daughter, the previous emperor of the country, Granny New. Granny New's eyes were very strange at that time, and she said solemnly, "Shichi, I'm afraid you've fallen in love with that man." Love? Even a generation of empresses who owned conquerors was startled. But she did not show it, but showed a cold and proud expression. "My concubine is the most beautiful woman in the world. How could she like a mere man?" "You old woman, how dare you to humiliate the beauty of your concubine so unforgivably?" After all, the Empress Boa Hancock kicked Granny New out with one kick. Granny New shouted in the air, "Shichi, you must pay attention to this matter. This is lovesickness. Several generations of emperors of the Daughter Kingdom have all died from this disease." "Shut up, damn old woman." The Empress was angry and ordered her two younger sisters, "You go and keep that dead old woman shut up forever." 35. Marigold and Sandersonia led the way, but the two of them only reprimanded Granny New a few words symbolically, and at the end they quietly asked Granny New, "Sister, elder sister is really suffering from lovesickness, and fell in love with the 5 emperors Luo Xing?" New mother-in-law looked serious. The old man will never see it wrong. But looking at Shiji's performance, she is not terminally ill. "You too, don't let Shiji know anything about that Luo Xing in the future. After all, that person is the concubine of the Beast's pirates, and already has a family, and it is impossible to be with the Snake Princess. If Snake Princess really loves hopelessly, she will only harm herself." Marigold and Sandersonia were startled and nodded hastily. The two were on their way back to the palace. Marigold said, "My elder sister basically didn't let us inquire about Yuang Luo Xing, so it shouldn't be a big problem." Sandersonia agrees. "Yeah, after all, at Dressrosa at the time, we didn't see the true face of that beast consort." Luo Xing had been wearing the ghost Brajna mask given by his wife Yamato. One more thing to say here, Luo Xing's photo of the reward order has changed from the original Duck to the image wearing a mask. Marigold and Sandersonia don't know, when their sister, the world's most honorable empress, returned to her room. On the wall of the room, there are 2 reward orders. One is Luo Xing's original Duck bounty order, and the other is Luo Xing wearing a mask. Empress Boa Hancock stared at the 2 bounty orders, biting her lower lip, her beautiful eyes revealing a wide range of complex emotions. 106. Yamato's dream. Luo Xing returns to Wonokuni. Zora, who got the black knife Kushui and finally gathered 3 famous knives, entered the 5-fold gravity room non-stop to practice. Luo Xing came to the general's office, and his wife Yamato was on official business. When Yamato saw Luo Xing, the frown that was originally frowned suddenly relaxed, and he jumped into Luo Xing's arms with joy. "Husband, you are back." 39. Luo Xing wrapped tightly around Yamato's slender waist, and the tip of his nose lingered with a beautiful fragrance that he couldn't get tired of smelling. After a while, Luo Xing said, "Wife, sit down." Yamato sat down obediently. Luo Xing went around Yamato's back, put his hands on Yamato's shoulders, and kneaded gently. Yamato showed a comfortable expression and moved. "Husband, you are so kind." 35. Luo Xing leaned into Yamato's ear and said, "If you think I'm good, you have to massage me at night too, but not with your hands." Yamato blushed, and gave Luo Xing a white look, but still nodded slightly. 183 Untraceable. Luo Xing was overjoyed. Yamato's is many times larger than Perona's, and it must be very comfortable to massage. Luo Xing saw that Yamato was very comfortable being massaged by him, but there was still a lingering sadness between his eyebrows. He asked in surprise, "Have you encountered any problems?" "Tell me." Yamato sighed deeply and said, "Husband, I'm finding more and more that I used to be so naive and childish." 55. I thought Wonokuni would be happy if the old man was chased away, the Kurozumi serpent was chased away, and the Kazuki clan returned to power. But in the few months of being General Wonokuni, I've discovered that things are far from that simple. Wonokuni's poor soil, poor economic conditions, and even without the exploitation of the Kurozumi serpent, It is difficult for the people to eat enough. Yamato is telling the truth. Wano Kuni is too poor, poor in every way. The people are poor. The land is poor, and the economy is poor. And this problem is not caused by Kaido and Doki, but a problem that has existed in Wano Kuni for hundreds of years. The rule of the Kozuki family did not bring real happiness to Wano Kuni. It was nothing more than being able to survive, including the policy of seclusion and isolation. It was also formulated by the Kozuki family. The only capable person who could improve Wano Kuni's situation, Kozuki-iden, is a complete idiot with no political or livelihood savvy. Their defeats and tragedies can only be said to be self-inflicted. Luo Xing has long been aware of these things and said, "Wife, what do you want?" Yamato said firmly, "I want to create a world where everyone can have enough to eat." 99. Luo Xing raised his eyebrows slightly. If he remembered correctly, Luffy, the king of the awakened Nika form in the original book, said something similar when he defeated Kaido. It's just that what Wang Luffy said is to feed his friends. Compared with everyone in Yamato, the realm is not on the same level. Luo Xing laughed. "Wife, your dream is really great, but it's too far to come true. Let's start with Wano Kuni at our feet." 99. Yamato turned around with joy, and his beautiful eyes looked at Luo Xing much like jewels. "Husband, do you want to help me?" Luo Xing scratched Yamato's nose. "You are my wife, who won't you help you?" Yamato jumped up excitedly. His slender legs caught Luo Xing's waist, and his two white lotus-like arms hooked Luo Xing's neck. "Husband, you are so kind." Luo Xing's good is all the standard chips. Yamato's massage that night made all his arms and thighs sore. Luo Xing walked into the laboratory the next morning. In the laboratory, there is also a Cybertronian standing there. Cybertronians are mechanical beings with advanced intelligence, and their movements are nimble and agile. Luo Xing specially reserved one for himself. Luo Xing asked the Cybertronians to bring him food seeds. How to feed the people of Wano Kuni. Luo Xing's previous practice was to buy food from the outside world. However, this method is difficult to sustain, and it is also very expensive. Luo Xing plans to improve grain seeds, learn from a great man in his previous life, and create super seeds that can yield thousands of pounds per mu. The improvement of seeds also involves the genetic level, which is called the bloodline factor in the pirate world. Luo Xing can make monster cells and improve artificial devil fruit, and it is natural to improve food seeds. It didn't take long for Luo Xing to produce super seeds. With the seeds, the next thing to solve is manpower. The overall number of Wano Kuni people is small, and the prime-age labor is even less, and their tools are backward, and the efficiency of growing food is too low. Luo Xing turned his attention to the Cybertronian, and soon had electrons. He intends to transform the Cybertrons into multifunctional robots that integrate agriculture and industry. After a few days, when Luo Xing brought his latest results to show Yamato at the general's mansion, Yamato's eyes widened. The movement caught the attention of the rest of the general's mansion, and they all ran to see it. The little girl Ai turned around Luo Xing's big hand, her eyes wide open. "Is this the seed? How is it so big?" Luo Xing held up the improved seeds and said, "Because this is a super seed, it can adapt to various harsh environments, and it is not a problem to produce 1,000 catties of grain from 1 mu of land." 99. As soon as these words came out, 3 voices suddenly sounded cold breath. They are from Ayu's master Tengu Yamatoru, Zoro's master and Shimatsuki Koshiro and Kozaburo. The 3 old men looked at the super seeds in Luo Xing's hands in disbelief, their lips trembling with excitement. This can really yield 1,000 catties of grain?" Luo Xing laughed without saying a word. In his capacity, is it necessary to deceive anyone? Tengu Yamatoru, Shimatsuki Koshiro and Kozaburo also understood this in an instant. The 3 of them didn't say a word, knelt down to Luo Xing, and bowed deeply. "Lord Luo Xing's merits are immeasurable. Please accept the old man and others to worship." The 3 elders are all old people when the Kozuki family was in power. Although they acquiesced to the status quo of Wano Kuni, it is completely impossible to talk about how much they like Luo Xing and the 100 beasts. But as soon as Luo Xing's super seed came out, they immediately knelt down and bowed. This shows how important food is to Wano Kuni. After Luo Xing helped the 3 elders up, everyone went to see the huge Cybertronian. Compared with the original Cybertronian, this one has a lot of other equipment. The most striking thing is the large shovel in front of it. Ayu touched the big shovel-like claws and asked curiously, 5.4 Big Brother, what is this for? Luo Xing explained, this shovel is for digging, and this versatile Cybertron can transform into an excavator, as well as a bulldozer, plow and harvester. 35. Ayu, Yamato, and Sanlao were dumbfounded and stunned. Emotion. Luo Xing not only invented super seeds, but also prepared the props for the process of seed planting and subsequent harvesting. Tengu Shinfito, Shimatsuki Koshiro and Kozaburo, looking at Luo Xing again, are not only grateful, but also have a sense of looking up to the gods. Luo Xing's inventions are so shocking, Each of them will cause a huge revolution in the world. It can be expected that these two things are popularized in Wano Kuni. Wano Kuni will be able to achieve self-production and self-sufficiency of food in less than half a year. Wano Kuni is likely to develop into a paradise on the sea. 107. Luo Xing's great reputation, Xiao Zi's panic and confusion, Vergo's aggressiveness. Add. The superseeds and multi-purpose Cybertronians have caused a huge stir in Wano Kuni territory like never before. Weird cells, fit earrings, etc. invented by Luo Xing before. Although the people of Wano Kuni were amazed, those inventions were basically used by members of the 100 Beasts and had little to do with the common people. But superseeds and multifunctional Cybertronians are different. It's really a matter of whether the people can fill their stomachs. Relevant to everyone. How can the people not be ecstatic? How can they not cheer? When Yamato personally went down to each village to distribute superseeds and multifunctional Cybertrons to the people, the enthusiasm and cheers of the people can almost disperse the clouds in the sky. Countless people knelt on the side of the road and shouted Yamato as the most beautiful general. At the same time, an elderly man stepped forward and asked tremblingly, "Master General, can we set up an ancestral hall for Master Luo Xing? We want to honor Master Luo Xing as the patron saint of Wano Kuni." The people of Wano Kuni have regarded Luo Xing as a god and a saint-like existence. Such a huge prestige, Wano Kuni has never had since the founding of the country. What is certain is that even if Kozuki Eden is reborn now, even if Eden's father Kozuki Sukiyaki returns, it is also impossible to shake Yamato's position as a general, and it is even more impossible to shake the prestige of Luo Xing's patron saint. Luo Xing's reputation is so monstrous that even Xiao Zi, Kozuki Hiyari, who has been staying in the Garden of Flowers for 18 years, has heard of it. Xiao Zi, who heard the news, was stunned for a long time. Sitting on the dresser, she looked absently at the mirror, the more and more beautiful herself. Yes, Xiao Zi has become more and more beautiful, even more beautiful than before. It stands to reason that this should not be. After all, she is locked here. Luo Xing killed Denjarawa and was her enemy. Luo Xing also often bullied her, and it took a long time to bully her. No matter how she cried, the pear blossoms brought rain, I still felt pity. That hateful man just wouldn't stop. When it was over, I hugged her and coaxed a few words. Humphrey, fake man. Thinking of Luo Xing's abhorrentness, Xiao Zi couldn't help grabbing the handkerchief, as if the handkerchief was the flesh of the man, and it would hurt him to death. But Xiao Zi is indeed getting more and more beautiful. The reason for this, in addition to eating the slippery fruit, makes the skin smoother. For another reason, Xiao Zi didn't dare to face it or even think about it, because as long as she thinks about it, she will feel some kind of ultimate panic. For that reason, she is very likely to really fall in love with that man. How can this work? She is Kozuki Hiyari, she is the daughter of Kozuki Eden, she is supposed to be the princess of Wano Kuni. How can she fall in love with her enemy? Xiao Zi felt deeply frightened by this. She told herself in her heart time and time again that she was only forced, and she did not fall in love with that man. But what's the matter with the resentment that always pops up in the bottom of my heart? What's the matter with the figure of that man appearing in my mind from time to time? Xiao Zi was really afraid to think about the answers to these questions. I don't know when. 2 lines of clear tears fell from Xiao Zi's beautiful eyes. In the mirror, she gradually changed into the appearance of her mother Tanayushi. The mother and daughter look very similar, and Xiao Zi often confides in herself in the mirror as her mother. Mother, please tell me what to do. Should I still get revenge? Should I still hate? Under his care, Wano Kuni seems to have become better than when his grandfather was alive, and the future will get better and better. Mother, my daughter is probably really in love with that man. Will the prophecy you mentioned back in 20 years really come out? Xiao Zi murmured in a low voice, a pair of light blue beautiful eyes filled with endless confusion. Xiao Zi was at a loss, but Luo Xing, the culprit, was not at all at a loss. On the contrary, his purpose is very clear, and his life is even more nourishing. Luo Xing was lying on a large chair, with a cute bunny-eared girl squatting beside him. While playing with the long rabbit ears that are very soft to the touch, he casually said, Is there any news from Rabbit Prison? The heart pirates of Enland Trafalgar Law are held in Rabbit Prison. Luo Xing specifically went to see these 2 people before going to the horror bark and asked them to think about it. Garrett blushed a little. Because the rabbit ears are touched, she will feel itchy. But the master wants to play, no matter how itchy it is. Garrett will not avoid it. Garrett resisted the itch and replied, according to the warden's report, Enlil, the god of Sky Island, has become more obedient and less arrogant than before. Luo Xing nodded. It seems that after these days of beatings, Enlil has finally come to a sense of reality. Garrett's voice continued. As for the heart pirates, there's a guy named Bibo, who is also our fur tribe. The little maid has communicated with him and told him that the entire Zua country is under the master's command, and all the fur tribes are the master's warriors. He looked shocked and wanted to take refuge with his master. I last saw him trying to persuade his captain, Trafalgar Law. For such a great person as the master, it is their honor to be loyal to the master. Luo Xing smiled. It seems that Trafalgar Law has also made progress, which is much better than before. Luo Xing stood up, stretched, and said, The moon is full. become a moon lion. 35. Yes, Master. Garrett looked up at the full moon in the night sky. Her already slender body became more slender, and the hair all over her body became even whiter, with snow-white hair scattered around her waist. A cold and holy temperament radiated from her. When Garrett looked at Luo Xing again, he was no longer docile and well-behaved, but his eyes were cold, refusing to be thousands of miles away. This is also the task of the Master, Luo Xing said in a satisfied voice. Keep this attitude and temperament. Let's go to rest. Add New World G5 branch. Vergo, who successfully became a member of the Beasts Pirates with Luo who ate top fruit as his vote, has been very high-spirited recently. After eating the ghost-level monster cells given by Luo Xing, his posture is more upright, his majesty is more profound, and his strength is more and more unfathomable. No matter where he went, he had a solemn and confident expression on his face. All the Marines in G5 are in awe and awe of Vergo, the base chief. Vergo absolutely controls one of Marine's largest branch bases in the New World, 183, and no one dares to ignore his orders. Following Luo Xing's orders, Vergo worked hard to cultivate and improve his strength, and at the same time he was more focused on improving his position within Marine. He had to do some great work to get Marine headquarters and even the 5 elders to notice him. To this end, he first did is to expand the strength of his men. With Marine's banner, he's been relatively smooth in recruiting in various places. After all, except for the areas controlled by a few big pirates such as the 4 emperors, no country would dare not sell Marine and world government face. Vergo's recruitment of troops naturally had to report to Marine headquarters, and the reason given was to deal with the increasingly severe situation in the New World. It is said that Marshal Sengoku saw the report at the time and lamented, "There are finally sailors in the Marine who are willing to do things and dare to do things." 35. The implication is, of course, that he was secretly poking at Kaisaru, who was basically ineffective in the Battle of Punk Hazard. Well, Kizaru's reaction, expected, manicure, pretending not to hear. Sengoku twitched the corners of his mouth, and invisibly took a fancy to Vergo's name again. At this time, Admiral Okiji suggested that the original Lig Town Captain Smoker and his adjutant Tashigai should also be transferred to the G5 branch to assist Captain Vergoji in dealing with the situation in the New World. Sengoku was relieved and agreed immediately. He raised Smoker's rank by 1 level, from Captain to Commodore, as the second person in the G5 branch after Vergo. That's it. Smoker and Tashigai, more than 2 years ahead of the original, arrived at the New World G5 branch. He met Luo Xing's subordinate, the spy of the 100 Beasts, Marine Base Longizu Vergo. 108. Smoker taught by Vergo to be a man. Luo Xing's black phone bug. Add. You are the White Hunter Smoker? The guy in the Marine who was famous for his own way, his unruly behavior, and even being called the Mad Dog in the Marine. Vergo sat on a large armchair in the command room of the G5 branch, and looked at the two in front of him with an indifferent gaze. A cigar-dipping, arrogant-looking smoker who has been promoted to Commodore. A slender figure with a beautiful face and a famous sword Xioshu around his waist is Smoker's adjutant Tashigai. Hearing Vergo's cold words, Smoker nodded politely. It's the old man. Vergo's eyes flashed coldly. The tone is not small. He stood up and walked around to Smoker. He was originally 2.4 meters tall, but now he is nearly 4 meters tall because he ate ghost-level monster cells. Looking at Smoker at a little over 2 meters is like looking down at a child. However, no matter how arrogant you used to be and how you want to do whatever you want, when you come to the G5 branch, you have to obey my orders. Vergo put his hands in his pockets and said in a cold tone. The aura on his body was even more terrifying. If he were an ordinary soldier, he would have been frightened by this aura to fight. But Smoker is rebellious by nature. Even though his position is under Vergo, he is not willing to be suppressed by Vergo like this. Smoker said proudly with a cigar in his mouth, I'm not used to listening to other people's orders. I can't control what you want to do, but I don't want to assign Lozi at will. 35. The cold glow in Vergo's eyes became more and more obvious. There was an undisguised threat in his tone. You know, in my place, what happens when you don't obey orders? Smoker sneered without fear. What is it? You may not see the sun tomorrow. Then come try it. The two top officials of the current G5 branch, as soon as they met, were pointed at Maimang, as if they were about to fight. Tashigai was very anxious and hurriedly advised, Smoker Captain. Ah no, Smoker Commodore, please calm down Tilda. Major Vergoji, Smoker Commodore didn't mean to contradict you. Smoker directly retorted, no, I was deliberately contradicting. The attitude of disobedience to no one deserves the title of the Mad Dog in the Marine. It was the first time that Vergo saw such a thorny subordinate, and instead of being angry, he laughed. Only the cold light in his eyes already had a faint killing intent. Lord Luo Xing told him to continue to climb up in the Marine. How could he tolerate disobedient subordinates? Vergo walked straight out the door and said, Since you're so arrogant, then use your strength to distinguish the superior. The weak must obey the strong. Smoker followed without hesitation. Exactly what I want. Tashigai stomped his feet eagerly. Why did Smoker Commodore have to fight with his immediate boss on his first day in New World? But Tashigai knew that what Smoker decided, the 9 heads couldn't pull back. She couldn't persuade her, so she had to follow. The 3 came to the competition arena at the base. A group of sea soldiers watching the lively round immediately surrounded them. Look, Captain Vergoji is going to take on the Smoker Commodore. Guess who'll win? 39. It goes without saying that it must be the base chief. Haven't you noticed that the strength of the base chief is getting more and more terrifying? 66. That's not necessarily true. I heard that the Smoker Commodore is also very famous, or Lodia's smoking fruit ability. Hey. There's a good show to watch now. Maybe we might even be able to learn 2 hands secretly. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of sailors gathered around the arena. They all had excited expressions on their faces. After all, the competition between the officers was extremely rare. On the ring, Vergo put his hands behind his back and his face was expressionless. Smoker was smoking a cigarette, 10 hands in hand. In the spotlight, Smoker took the lead. White smoke launcher. His lower body turned into white smoke, and with the help of the thrust of the white smoke, he rushed towards Vergo at an extremely fast speed. Weapon plus hand jabs forward fiercely. Vergo did not use his own weapon, Ghost Bamboo, still standing motionless. It wasn't until 10 hand was about to approach his neck that he stretched out his right hand and grabbed 10 hand firmly. Smoker's face changed, looking at Vergo's blackened right hand. Armament Haki, New World is as strong as a cloud. 35. In the first half of the Grand Line, especially in the Lake Town where Smoker used to guard, very few people use Haki. But New World is completely different. Haki is only the most basic skills of the strong. Smoker took the initiative to apply to New World because he wanted to become stronger, and he didn't want to be seen as an ant-like weakling. He shouted loudly and tried to pull 10 hands out of Vergo's hands. However, Vergo's right hand, like an iron pincer, remained motionless no matter how much effort Smoker exerted. Smoker was a little impatient, and was about to use all his strength. Sudden, Vergo is loose. Smoker accidentally fell back. Vergo bullied forward, covering his armed fist, mercilessly smashed into Smoker's abdomen. Puff. Smoker spat out a mouthful of blood. The whole person flew out and fell heavily on the ground outside the ring. It only took half a minute from the start of the test to the winner. The onlookers were dumbfounded. Immediately there was a burst of enthusiastic cheers. Major Vergoji. Captain Vergoji is too strong. Commander Vergo is invincible. As for the downed Smoker, no one paid attention. After all, Smoker came to the G5 branch on the first day. Only Tashigai came up to Smoker with a pale face and lifted him up. Smoker's face was extremely ugly now. He never imagined that he would be instantly killed by the other party. There is no room for even the slightest resistance. This is actually not surprising. Vergo's original strength is above Smoker. After eating Luo Xing's good money, ghost-level monster cells, his strength has skyrocketed, and even against Marine Admiral, he can still challenge for a while. What's more, the mere Smoker who even Haki hasn't learned much about. Vergo condescendingly glanced at Smoker, who barely got up, and said coldly, "If you don't follow my orders next time, you won't be hurt just a little bit like you are now." After all, without looking at Smoker's angry eyes, he went straight back to the base command room. Close the command room door tightly. Vergo pulled out the bottom drawer, and there was a small black phone bug in it. Vergo dialed the phone, and just now facing Smoker's indifference, arrogance and majesty, it instantly turned into a kind of careful ingratiating, a kind of adoring awe. Beep tilde. The call is connected. Vergo took a deep breath and said in a very respectful voice, "Hey, is it Lord Luo Xing? My subordinate Vergo has something important to report to you." Kiao. 109. White 2 joins Shichibukai. Black Arm Zephyr defected from Marine. Garrett, who transformed into a moon lion, has a soft body and a myriad of postures. Among Luo Xing's women, it is no surprise that it ranks first. Even Xiao Zi, who ate slippery fruit, couldn't compare to Garrett. Luo Xing asked Garrett to wash off the scent from his body, and planned to visit Yamato, the wife of the Superseed and the multifunctional Cybertron star who is all over Wano. Just as he was about to go out, the black phone worm rang. Luo Xing's eyes flashed. This phone bug was the encrypted phone bug he used to talk to Vergo. If Vergo had no critical situation to report, generally speaking, he would not make this call easily. Luo Xing answered the phone. Vergo's respectful voice came from the opposite side. "Lord Luo Xing, my subordinate Vergo has something important to report to you." "Let's talk," Luo Xing said concisely. Vergo's voice said, "The former Marine Admiral Black Arm Zephyr has defected from Marine headquarters." Naturally, Vergo's phone call could not be about Smoker. As a mere Smoker, Vergo can easily solve it himself, and he is not qualified to alarm Lord Luo crossing. Vergo is reporting on a recent super significant event inside the Marine. That is, the former Admiral Black Arm Zephyr betrayed Marine, and also stole the explosive rock that is said to be as powerful as the ancient weapon. Even Luo Xing was shocked when he heard the news. Luo Xing remembered that Black Arm Zephyr's betrayal should have happened after the top battle. Now that even the summit war has not erupted, how did Zephyr leave Marine early? Vergo's next words answered Luo Xing's doubts. Lord Luo Xing, since you killed my former boss Dover, the 7 warlords of the sea has lost one place. We beasts pirates have recently defeated Marine and world government in Dressrosa and Punk Hazard, making them lose face. The world government is eager to save face and needs more combat power, so they wanted to supplement Dover's Shichibukai position. At this time, a guy who claimed to be Whitebeard's son entered the sight of Marine and the world government. He offered to join Shichibukai, and the world government agreed. And it happens that this guy named Edward Waybull once killed Admiral Zephyr's family and students, including Zephyr's right arm. The ex-Admiral Black Arm Zephyr was outraged and defected from Marine. Luo Xing understood this. He never imagined that because of his own reasons, Marine had recruited White 2 into Shichibukai ahead of time, causing Black Arm Zephyr to leave Marine ahead of schedule. As for such a major matter, the reason why Luo Xing has never received relevant information, including other major forces such as the 4 emperors, is not aware of it, because Marine and the world government have been trying to conceal it. After all, a former Marine admiral betrayal, it's not a glorious thing. In particular, the former admiral's reputation within Marine is extremely high. If you think about it, you can understand that the Black Arm Zephyr is a veteran of the same era as Sengoku the Buddha and Garp the Fist. In his life, he has made outstanding achievements in battle, and has defeated countless big pirates. Moreover, Black Arm Zephyr is also a person who does not hide his secrets, and likes to teach his skills to the next generation. Akei Ainu, Kizaru, and Okiji of Marine 3 Admiral are all former disciples of Zephyr, including Smoker, Hina, and many Naval Headquarters Elite Vice Admiral, have studied under Zephyr. Such a highly respected Marine senior, the world government has completely ignored his feelings and recruited his enemy Baiyoshi into Shichibukai. I don't know if the 5 elders are brains. Vergo was the first to know about this because of his status as the base manager of the Marine G5 branch. It also shows how important it is to have a spy inside Marine. Luo Xing said, the Black Arm Zephyr's betrayal is truly extraordinary, and Marine couldn't have failed to respond. What are you going to do, Vergo? Vergo said. As Lord Luo Xing said, Marine planned to send one of the 3 admiral to capture Black Arm Zephyr. However, due to the tension in the New World, as well as Whitebeard and the Redhead's change, Marshal Sengoku has not yet made up his mind whether to send or not an admiral. Sengoku did not make up his mind, on the one hand, although there is a reason for the New World situation. On the other hand, the bigger reason is probably that Sengoku can't bear to hunt down Zephyr, an old comrade in arms. Bife, Lord Luo Xing, this subordinate is going to apply to Marine headquarters to hunt down Black Arm Zephyr. If this can be done, the subordinate's position within Marine will definitely be improved by several ranks. Luo Xing is very satisfied with Vergo's aggressive attitude. He complimented Vergo a few words and agreed with Vergo's plan, but added, I will work with you on this matter. You have confirmed the location of the Black Arm Zephyr. Notify me immediately. Vergo was overjoyed. When Lord Luo Xing said this, it was like treating him as a subordinate. As you order, Lord Luo Xing. Hang up the phone. Luo Xing's eyes flashed with thought. The reason why he wanted to participate in the pursuit of Zephyr was mainly to see if the explosive rock really had the power comparable to the ancient weapon. Also, as a traveler, Luo Xing knew that the purpose of Black Arm Zephyr was to kill all pirates in the world. Its people want to use the explosive rock to destroy the endpoints of the 3 volcanoes on the sea, let the underwater magma explode, and finally destroy the entire New World. Luo Xing certainly cannot allow such a thing to happen. The same moment, somewhere in the New World, several huge warships are sailing. The style of the warship should belong to Marine, but the flag flying, Marine's logo has a sword inserted. This means that this army does not share Marine's philosophy. They are the Neo-Marine created after Black Arm Zephyr betrayed Marine, and the goal is to kill all the pirates in the world. At this time, on the deck of the warship, Black Arm Zephyr with purple hair, sunglasses and a robotic arm made by Seastone on his right arm was looking at the sea with a gloomy expression and hateful eyes. Marine, world government, your justice is so hypocritical. It means nothing to the world at all. The old man has to use his own method to kill all the pirates. Wait, you bastards. Behind Zephyr, stood 3 Neo-Marine cadres, all of whom were Zephyr's students. A pretty blue-haired girl named Ayin, who has the ability to regress the fruit. The name of Bins, who is dressed in colorful clothes, is a man with lush fruit ability. The final black-headed man, Shuzo, was the original Marine Commodore. The trio formed the core of the Neo-Marine created by Zephyr. The blue-haired girl Ain said, Mr. Zephyr, we are still 2 days away from the end of the nearest volcano. Should we rest for a while before heading out? Zephyr said in a hoarse and deep tone, No. The dream of killing all the pirates is right in front of us. How can we stand still for a moment? Move towards the target location at full speed, and crush all those who dare to stand in front of us, whether they are pirates or marines. 110. The hypocritical world government. The meat outfit with high defense and high blood jack. Marine Headquarters Marineford. Marshal Sengoku looked at the report in his hand with a gratified smile that he had not seen in a long time, and sighed. Vergo, the head of the G5 branch, is a willing person. 35. The great staff crane asked. He reported again. What did he ask for? ? Sengoku said, he wanted to catch Zephyr. All of a sudden there was silence in the office. Get down. At this time, in addition to Sengoku and Juru, there were Garp and Okiji in the office. They were either Zephyr's old comrades or Zephyr's disciples. Garp clenched his fists and said angrily, the world government is so abominable. Why let that Edward Weibel join the Shichibukai without considering Zephyr's feelings at all? Okiji agrees. Mr. Zephyr is highly respected in Marine Ned, and has many disciples. Isn't the world government doing this to the hearts of us Marines? The biggest reason for Zephyr's defection was the world government, which was the five elders. Regardless of Zephyr's feelings, recruiting the family's biggest enemy into Shichibukai is too authentic. Sengoku also argued with the five elders about this, but Zephyr had defected, and things had to settle down. Sengoku sighed. We have no choice but to hunt down Zephyr. If we let him destroy the 3 volcanic endpoints, the whole world will be destroyed. Sengoku glanced at the 3 people in front of him and continued. Originally, the old man was going to send Admiral out, but as you all know about Kaido, Whitebeard, Red Hair, and others, the Marine Headquarters combat power cannot be weakened at this time, just in case of unexpected events. Since the base chief Vergo has volunteered to fight, let him go. It just so happens that the smoker you recommended, Okiji, is also a former disciple of Zephyr. Maybe Zephyr will change his mind. Garp, Juru, and Okiji acquiesced to Sengoku's decision. After all, they have nothing better to do. New World G5 branch. Vergo received a reply from Marine Headquarters. At the same time, there is information about Zephyr's traces that Marine has heard from spies around the world. Vergo was overjoyed when he saw it, and immediately summoned his Marines and dispatched all the warships of G5, ready to capture the former Admiral Black Arm Zephyr. Smoker was also called up. Hearing that teacher Zephyr was being arrested, Smoker was shocked. I wanted to say something, but in the end I held back. On the one hand, even if he made any comments, Vergo, the strong and arrogant base chief, would not pay attention to him. On the other hand, after all, Mr. Zephyr had defected to Marine and was about to destroy the world, and Smoker didn't know what reason to plead for Mr. Zephyr. After the team was reorganized, the 3 warships set sail, under the leadership of Vergo. The entire G5 branch set off in a mighty manner. Seeing Smoker's gloomy mood, Tashigai asked with concern, is the Smoker Commodore still pissed about Captain Vergo G? Yesterday, in front of so many G5 sailors, Smoker was killed by Vergo, and he was embarrassed. It wouldn't be good for anyone else, let alone such an arrogant person as Smoker. Smoker shook his head. The weak obey the strong. If you lose, you will lose. There is nothing to be angry about. I want to come to New World to temper my own strength. Tashigai wondered. The Smoker was prepared because, before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Smoker. Tashigai, which teacher taught you your swordsmanship? 35. Tashigai held up the famous sword Xiao Zi on his waist like a baby. Her dream is to collect all the famous swords that have been mastered by pirates in the world. Tashigai said, it was taught by an old man in Marine. 39. Yeah, most of our skills were taught by the seniors in Marine. Smoker looked out at the ocean in the distance, and suddenly his fists clenched. But one day, our boss ignored the feelings of the senior and insisted on letting the enemy of the senior join Marine's camp. Tashigai, do you think it's ridiculous? 99. Tashigai's eyes widened and he dared not speak. Why is our boss doing this? Because they're all a bunch of bastards. Smoker clenched his fists tightly, slammed the railing, and let out a low growl. This is the world government we are loyal to. Tashigai was shocked. With a pure mind, she has always believed that Marine and the world government are justice and pirates are evil. Absolutely never thought that the world government was so abhorrent. Even worse than a pirate. Before Vergo's action, nature secretly called Luo crossing. Luo Xing set off from Wonokuni immediately after receiving the news. Ask for flowers. This time Luo Xing did not hide his appearance or whereabouts, and of course he was not too ostentatious. First, there are very few people in the outside world who know his true face. Second, after training in the intermediate time gravity room, Luo Xing's haki and strength have improved to a higher level. As long as 2 or more 4 Emperor's Admiral-level powerhouses were not besieging him, Luo Xing could easily escape. Besides, behind him stood a sturdy bodyguard with a height of more than 10 meters, which was Jack the Drow. Luo Xing had never brought Jack with him when he went to Sky Island, Dressrosa, or the Terror Bark before. Now that he is the young master of the 100 Beasts, it cannot be unfair. This time I brought Jack the Drill. Jack was overjoyed. and he was finally able to take the lead again, feeling full of energy all over his body. Luo Xing looked at the excited Jack and said with a smile. The opponent this time is an ex-marine admiral. Even if you eat dragon-level monster cells and your fruit ability evolves from an ancient species to an illusory beast, you may not be able to defeat the opponent. Jack didn't care at all. He said, "Let's move the boat up and talk about it. My uncle will fight him hand to hand." Tell the truth. In terms of melee combat, in today's Beasts Pirates, apart from his father-in-law Kaido's, even Fire Calamity Ember and Plague Calamity Quinn are not Jack's opponents. Because the dragon-level monster cells have greatly improved Jack's defense, they can even bathe in Akai Inu's lava. To know, in the world of pirates, magma is already the most powerful means of attack. Jack can actually use his body to resist for a while, which is terrifying. And, even if Jack's defense is broken and he is injured, the powerful resilience given to him by the Zonedman's fruit can make him recover in a short period of time. That is, Jack is now a meat warrior with high defense and blood. Even if he can't beat the enemy, he can drag the enemy to death. Although the former Admiral Black Arm Zephyr is strong, he is old, and if he fights a protracted battle with Jack, he will lose sooner or later. Not to mention the presence of Vergo's marine. Therefore, Luo Xing is not worried that this operation will fail, and he does not even plan to take action by himself. He's just a scientist with little power, so let's leave it to the people below. A day later, Luo Xing and Jack the Drill arrived at a strange island full of red rocks. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this and join my Patreon if you want to support me. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.